Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're joining us today. Myself, Payal Raina. I'm the founder of FinTech Marketing Community, and I am very delighted and thrilled today because we have got a fantastic special guest who we will be talking to in next few minutes. His name is Scott Brinker. So those of you, if you don't know the Martech legend and guru, let me just quickly give a quick profile about Scott. So Scott has been analyzing marketing technology and its impact on marketing organization for more than a decade now, and Scott wears multiple hats. Scott is the editor of chiefmartech.com blog, and he also serves as a VP platform ecosystem at HubSpot, helping to grow and nurture the company's community of technology and partners. Not to mention, Scott has also authored the best-selling book, Hacking Marketing, about adapting software management practices such as agile methodologies to marketing team. Scott also holds a degree in computer science from Columbia University and Harvard University, and MBA from MIT. Wow, that's impressive. So, hi Scott, and welcome to our series today.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here with you. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. So, Scott, do you want to just do it? I know I've given a bit of a color here already, but do you want to just, introduce yourself and, yeah.
Sure. I think what I would just add on from, the official bio is that I've really been focused on this intersection between marketing and technology for the past 16 years, as the editor of chiefmartech.com, and probably closer to 2 decades, even before that. I'm just fascinated by how technology and marketing that used to be very independent, separate disciplines, over these past couple decades have really combined and entangled together. They've changed the very definition of how marketing works, how we find, engage, and delight our customers. So super interesting space.
Fantastic. And not to mention, Scott, thank you so much. I know you're going to be joining us as our opening keynote speaker at our inaugural FinTech North American conference. So very, very excited. And on behalf of our FinTech marketing peers and all the community members, we are very grateful for your support there. So thank you so much for helping and supporting us.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to being there with you.
Wonderful. So let's just quickly jump into straight then, Scott. So just looking at the macro trends, Scott, would be great to kind of get your views on what are the key trends you're seeing within the MarTech sales tech firm, as you said in the starting, that there's an intersection which you're very fascinated by. So would be great to get some key drivers you're seeing on your side.
Yeah, well, there's a couple really interesting things happening right now. Of course, it will come as no surprise to everyone, the AI explosion that is happening around us. AI has actually been deeply integrated into MarTech for many, many years, but mostly the machine learning kind of AI, where we've leveraged it to do everything from how we segment audiences to how we determine, propensity, rates for upsells or, churn. There's been just lots of ways that machine learning has been embedded into making MarTech more efficient. But, ever since ChatGPT came out, a year and a half ago, everyone's imagination has caught fire with generative AI. And there's now so many ways in which this is being embedded throughout marketing and marketing technology. Certainly it's being used now to accelerate a lot of content creation. It's putting the power to create more content in the hands of more people, whether it's, text or images or video, or taking a piece of content and like remixing it, just with a click of a button. There's a really exciting acceleration because so much of marketing is driven by content. So this ability to expand the imagination of what people can create and make it more efficient, super, super powerful. But that's just the beginning of it. We're seeing generative AI also be used inside products to make a new kind of interface for marketers to work with MarTech solutions. Marketing technology gets pretty advanced these days. Some of these platforms are incredibly sophisticated, and that could actually be challenging then for people to even know what are all the possible things they could do inside a marketing tool. And so being able to have these generative AI interfaces where you can just use natural language to say like, oh, I want this, or I need a report, comparing this cohort to this other cohort. And instead of having to figure out how to configure that, to have the generative AI interface basically translate that and say like, oh, you mean the report like this? Yes, that's exactly what I was looking for. And I think as we go forward, I mean, we're still very early in what these generative AI capabilities are going to evolve to do. And it is evolving very, very quickly. I mean, the golden ring that we've been searching for in marketing for so long has been that true one-to-one personalization. And, we've, made progress in that direction, but I think you can sort of see the road ahead that these generative AI engines will be able to take all the data we know about a particular prospect or customer, the full range of, content and offers, that we could engage with them, and literally be able to synthesize, a particular message, a particular engagement, on a one-to-one basis. We're not quite there yet. I'm still a proponent of keeping a human in the loop, on the governance of how we're using these tools right now. But it's getting better, and it's getting better quickly.
Indeed, indeed. No, absolutely. And the way and how it's making everyone's life easier, that's, it's all about simplicity and driving automation as well. So couldn't agree more, Scott, what you just said there. Scott, that kind of takes me to my next question in terms of what are the current changes from the, at the data layer standpoint you're seeing affecting the businesses now and in the future?
Yeah, this is kind of the second major trend. So if we go back in, this history of MarTech, one of the challenges we've had is, many people have these very rich MarTech stacks where they have a lot of different tools. And it's not just MarTech. It's like, what are the other tools and software you're using throughout your business to engage with customers in sales or customer service, through digital products. But for a long time, like each of these different tools, kind of had their own database and their own little space where they kept that. And it was a fair amount of work to integrate these solutions to like, okay, well, how do we get the data from this system into this other system? And then there's 4 other systems downstream. We need to make sure we pass the data on to them. And this has been a pain point in marketing technology for pretty much the entire time that we've had marketing technology. What's really exciting is we're starting to see this evolution of a universal data layer inside companies. And it's being primarily driven by these cloud data warehouses, or data lake or data lake house, take your pick, but this idea of almost every application inside the business is slowly but surely opening up to push data into that, we'll just call it the cloud data warehouse layer. And then also have the ability to pull data from that cloud data warehouse from wherever it came from. And this is so exciting because, we get to a place where instead of having to think about just point-to-point data integrations between products, it's almost like that cloud data warehouse becomes one centralized data hub that we can use to make a lot more data available to marketers. Particularly at this point in time, people are talking a lot about, third-party cookies going away, and how do we start to get better at using first-party data, to better engage with our customers. Having data from all across the business starting to flow into this cloud data warehouse and giving marketing the ability to tap into that and understanding how it creates audiences and segments and like what are the opportune moments to reach out to them with a particular message. It's a very exciting evolution that's happening there. We still got a ways to go, but it's changing rapidly.
Indeed, indeed. And as you talked about data, that probably, with data, always it's about, data privacy, right? Because it's how you're going to protect all the privacy around the data from a consumer standpoint. And with stricter data privacy laws, which are already in place, I'm always curious that how these new MarTech platforms or existing MarTech platforms are going to comply with, particularly as you talked about AI, generative AI, we have got amazing data. How are we going to define that balance? So would be good to kind of hear your views on that.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you bring this up. It is essential to have good governance in support of compliance with, data privacy, not just data privacy, data security as well, too. And this is actually, again, one of the things that gets me excited about that more universal data layer, because when you had the data siloed in all of these different tools, you pretty much had to make sure that you could bring the governance to every single one of those tools. And that being a long tail, yeah, that was actually a much more challenging governance mission versus like if we're getting to a place where we start to have a universal data layer and it's at that layer that we're providing the governance, so like, okay, what data is acceptable to have here? Where are we going to make it available for other applications? When we need to delete things, how do we make sure we're deleting it at the central location and then have it ripple through all of the downstream systems? I think, again, it's a lot of work here. This is by no means, completely solved at this point. But I think that universal data layer is going to give us the right choke point to make sure that we can put a really strong governance framework in place to make sure that we're able to comply with data privacy, but also data security too.
Wonderful. No, absolutely. That makes all sense. Of course, with all this rapid technological advancements that's going on and evolving consumer behaviors, because lots of these things are driving and driven by customer behavior. If you had were given a not magic, but a crystal ball, how would you envision the future of Martech? We are now in 2024. Where do you see this whole kind of drive and evolvement going in next decade or even next few years down the line?
Yeah, it is actually challenging to be able to predict like where this is even going to be like a decade from now, just because, again, some of these things that are happening with AI are so fundamentally changing what's possible. And we're still early with this. So I'm probably hesitant to make a prediction about, say, a decade from now. I would say over the next few years, all right, well, it's still probably hard to do that given the speed at which this is moving. But, I think what I would say the most exciting thing that's going to happen here with AI is for a long time, we've had all this incredible technology that keeps getting smarter and smarter in marketing technology. But as it's gotten more sophisticated, it's gotten harder and harder for most marketing teams to really tap into that power and leverage it because it required them to learn so much, to develop, specialists, oh, okay, I need a data engineering specialist for this, I'm going to need like a software developer to build this custom code for me over there. It's just required a lot of expertise to harness, this innovation that's been happening in MarTech. And so I am so excited about these generative AI interfaces as basically providing more of a translation layer so that marketers, not technical specialists, but marketers, are able to interact with these tools and describe what it is they're looking for, the data they want to understand, the analysis they're looking for, the campaign or program they're looking to implement. And by just being able to articulate what it is they want to achieve, to have these AI engines come back and have a bit of a dialogue with them, like, do you mean this? Do you mean that other thing? Might I suggest you consider pulling in, this criteria? Oh yeah, no, that sounds good. How would that change? And to basically be able to almost have your own personal team of software developers, data analysts, data engineers, sitting right by your desk saying, yes, marketer, your wish is our command. This is going to unlock so much creative potential for marketers that I think it's truly going to be a golden age of marketing that emerges out of this. And we're going to see that within these next 2 years.
Fantastic. No, it sounds super exciting and super fascinating. Scott, as we're coming to the close, what would be your top 3 tips? And I know you've already given so many golden nuggets throughout your session today. Any top 3 nuggets or tips or key takeaways for us marketers or business leaders to think about?
So I guess first thing I would say is don't stress about this. Or I would say don't stress unduly about this. It is overwhelming. I can't keep up with this. Like every morning I'm waking up and I'm reading about new developments and new capabilities. Nobody can keep up with it all. And so you sort of need to give yourself permission to be like, okay, the world is just going through a tremendous amount of change right now. What we want to do is we want to stay engaged. You want to keep learning. You want to keep reading. Very excited about folks coming here to the event because one of the best ways to keep learning is to actually engage with your peers, in live events like this. So as long as you're in this mode where you're continually learning, yeah, don't stress about the fact that there's more out there to learn than any of us are ever going to get our arms around. And that's true for all your competitors. So I guess then the second thing is we have to just find this right balance between the core work we know we need to keep doing, right? I mean, marketers are on the hook, for delivering performance this quarter, next quarter, and so we can't afford to let's just go out and, do all innovation for all the new things. We need to spend still probably the good majority of our time on just making sure the engine that we have now keeps running and running smoothly. But that being said, if you aren't investing, whether it's 10%, 20%, some meaningful portion of your time in experimenting and sort of pushing the boundaries on what some of these new technologies make possible, you do run the risk of missing out on some of these waves. And you don't want your competitors, to be the ones to, get to those advantageous positions ahead of you. So finding that right balance between, the keeping the engine running, it's good, it's important work, but making sure you're carving out enough space with your team to experiment with all this incredible new technology that's happening around us.
Wonderful. Great. No, I think that was super, super useful and very kind of, informative. So absolutely, I'm sure our fellow viewers watching this would really find that helpful. So just a last final question. I know we're just kind of coming to an end. So I know 6th of June, the FinTech marketing community is hosting our first inaugural FinTech North American conference. And lots of those insights, you have given a sneak peek. You're going to share, more in details on the day. So anything finally about, your thoughts and views about getting involved with the community, particularly on the FinTech marketing side, as FinTech is such a growth and booming industry, and it continues to grow. So any final words or wisdom here?
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to the event. And one of the reasons is because, while I spend all my day deeply seated in the world of Martech and all the innovations that's happening in Martech, I know the exact same thing is happening in FinTech. In fact, probably you could argue actually to even a far greater degree. There's just so much innovation, technological revolution that's happening in the FinTech space. And so these two worlds coming together, it's fascinating. It's like an exponential, combinatorial innovation opportunity. And so, while I'm certainly looking forward to engaging with everyone around what I know about what's happening in Martech, I'm equally excited to be there and learning about hey, what's happening here on the FinTech side, and how do we look at the way that these two things intersect to come up with some pretty awesome new opportunities.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Scott. Look, likewise, myself, the community, and all our fellow speakers, we're really excited and looking forward to your session in few weeks' time. And once again, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. And I'm sure our fellow viewers are going to find it super useful. So, thank you so much, and have a great day.
All right. Thank you. I'll see you in June.
Okay, great. Thanks, Scott. Thank you. Bye.